Hello and welcome to another update. In this one we'll be covering the whole front line, starting out in the Kharkiv front, where the Russian forces have conducted reconnaissance operations in the Terranova area in the north of Kharkiv. If we see, it is to the northeast of Kharkiv, and the Russian forces have sent reconnaissance forces to attack the forested area north of Terranova, of which the Ukrainian forces have spotted them and fought back, and then the Russian forces retreated back across the border. As for the Luhansk front, we see that the Ukrainian forces continue their attacks in the direction of Novosilivsk, in the direction of Kozymivka. As for the southern part of the Luhansk front, in the Kreminna area, we see that the Russian forces are conducting attacks in the direction of Makivka, Nevsky, and Chernipovivka. As for the Siversk front, Russian forces are conducting offensive operations in this area in the direction of Kamyansk, Rosolivka, and Mykolaivka. As for the Bakhmut area itself, we see Russian forces conducting offensive operations in the direction of Krasnogora, Bakhmut itself, the north of Klishchivka, as well as to the west of Ivanivsky and the east of Stupushki, where they are trying to increase their zone of control in the direction of the forested area, as well as the hilly area to the west. And they are conducting assaults in the direction of Ivanivsky, straight ahead from Klishchivka, in order to reach the village. Further south in the direction of Donetsk, we see that the Russian forces are conducting offensive operations in the direction of the west of Vodiane, as well as towards Nevelsky and in the Marinka area. So the Russian forces are trying to expand the zone of control west of Donetsk. As for the Vuhledar front itself, we are seeing two conflicting reports. According to Syriac mapping, which is a neutral source, as well as most pro-Ukrainian sources, the Ukrainian forces have successfully recaptured the eastern part of Vuhledar, which is called Dacha, if I remember correctly. There is no name popping up here on Google Maps. And according to Ryber and pro-Russian sources, the Russian forces are still attacking Vuhledar itself and still have control over this eastern part. So I have mapped out according to the Syriac mapping report, as that is what I believe the most, but the situation could change very quickly at any moment's notice. As for the whole front in general, the Russian forces are conducting intensive fire, where they are launching a lot of artillery strikes on the whole front line, including the cross-border shelling here in the Sumy and Kharkiv regions, where the Russian and Ukrainian forces are shelling into each other's territories, and in the whole front line, there's a lot of shelling back and forth. However, the Russian shelling is much more intense, as they have more artillery pieces as well as artillery shells. However, talking into the amount of supplies and weapons that the West is sending to Ukraine, that has been announced in January. This is my list so far. It is an incomplete list, but so far this is what I have collected from different sources. So the United Kingdom is going to be sending 14 Challenger 2 tanks, 600 Brimstone rockets, 30 155mm AS-90 self-propelled guns, so that's 30 pieces of artillery, which are self-propelled, 200 infantry fighting vehicles, and armored personnel carriers. So it's not clear whether it's AIFVs or APCs or it's a mix of both. And then Canada is sending 200 Senator armored vehicles, that's armored personnel carriers, 1 NASAMS air defense battery, 4 Leopard 2A4s. The United States is sending 100 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, 100 tracked armored personnel carriers, M113, 18 155mm self-propelled guns, so self-propelled artillery, 250 M117 armored vehicles, 138 Humvees, 100 Striker wheeled armored personnel carriers, ammo for the GLSDB, 36 105mm howitzers, so this is towered artillery, 100 Patriot air defense missile defense battery, 6 NASAMS air defense batteries, 18 MLARs, which are of the HIMARS type, and 31 M1 Abrams. France is going to be sending 40 AMX 10RC wheeled tanks, so this is infantry fighting vehicles, Bastion armored cars, an unknown number, and 1 AA Pro SAMP/T battery. And I'm not sure if it's both Italy or France, or each individually sending the same. Either way, there is at least 1 anti-air Pro SAMP/T battery, which is a stationary rocket-propelled anti-air gun. Then Denmark is sending 19 155mm Caesar wheeled self-propelled guns, so 19 self-propelled artillery. France is sending several, so they haven't put a number on it, 155mm Caesar wheeled self-propelled guns, which is the same as the Danish version. Germany is sending 40 Marder BMP, that is infantry fighting vehicles, 1 Patriot air defense missile defense battery, another of the Patriot systems, 3 Iris-T air defense batteries, and 3 TRML-40 radars, so the radars which are connected to the Iris-T air defense batteries, as well as another 2 TRML, as well as 14 Leopard 2A6 tanks, which is going to be the highest quality tanks that Ukraine is going to be receiving from the West. Then we have Germany, Norway, and Denmark sending 16 Susanna 2 155mm wheeled self-propelled guns. Then we have the Netherlands, United States, and Czechoslovakia sending 120 T-72M tanks. We have the Netherlands sending 1 Patriot air defense missile defense battery. We have Sweden sending 50 BMP CV-90s, which is infantry fighting vehicles, 12 155mm Archer wheeled self-propelled guns, so another 12 self-propelled artillery. Then we have Czechoslovakia sending 26 230 152mm Dana M2 wheeled self-propelled guns, so another 26 to 30 self-propelled artillery. Then we have Finland sending 10 FH-70 155mm howitzers and 10 122mm D30 howitzers, so 20 towed artillery. Then we have Spain sending 53 Leopard 2A4s. We have Portugal sending 4 Leopard 2A4s. We have Poland sending 14 Leopard 2A4s. And we have Poland sending 60 PT-91. And that has since been updated to about 30 PT-91 and 30 T-72 VVM, if I remember correctly, or just a different variant of the tanks. So in total, that's 304 tanks, 56 howitzers, 121 self-propelled artillery, 340 BMPs, 538 APCs. BMP and IFV are the same. So that's actually 480 IFVs, 13 anti-air missile launchers, and 18 MLRS, which is multi-launch rocket systems. So we are seeing a lot of armored equipment being sent to Ukraine. That is over 1,000 armored vehicles, 300 tanks, and 200 artillery pieces, with about 13 anti-air missile launchers and 18 multi-launch rocket systems, which is the HIMARS. So we're seeing a lot of equipment being sent to Ukraine. However, this is not to be taken as for January only, as a lot of these things that have been announced are going to be sent over the next 6 months. So it's more like a half a year pledge of how many weapons they're sending to Ukraine. But this is actually a very significant number. It is about 30% of what Ukraine needs to push back Russia out of Ukraine. If Ukraine receives 3 times as much as this that has been pledged and announced, then they may be able to fight toe-to-toe with the current Russian army that is involved in Ukraine. However, Russia still has their 400,000 reservists that they are able to send into the war. So we'll see how it develops from here, but that's going to be all for this video. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.